All right, everybody, welcome back to Bourbon, Banter, Evans. Justin, I'm very curious, what are the people in store for today?
Man, I'm glad you asked. And welcome. Thank you guys for joining in. Cheers to you guys. This is a controversial subject, and it is that time.
Yes, it is. I think it's ready. I think we're ready to do it.
And I think we're ready as well to hit up the controversial subject of bourbon collecting versus bourbon buying versus bourbon drinking versus bourbon opening versus bourbon museums.
Yeah, basically a museum.
Yeah. So I say we go ahead and grab our control right here.
Yep, always got the good old VO bottle.
That's right. What's in our control? You never know. You have to hit us up, come by, enjoy a pour, and see if you can figure it out.
Yep, and guess what? We won't even tell you if we think you're right or not.
Yeah. And let's talk about some collections real quick. So this topic has been brought up several times, Charles.
It has.
And it's being brought up a little bit more recently. So that being said, we have the control. I'll move that one down here.
Yes, sir.
So you can focus on some of these other bottles. So everybody knows I have this issue. And this issue is called, if the bottle is there, I have a tendency to want to open it.
Yep, I think, and I would agree with you, that's been my tendency too.
Which is completely fine. They are consumable goods. They are consumable products, whatever you want to call them, CPGs,
Yeah.
consumable product goods.
Right.
So they're designed and meant to be opened and consumed. Well, so many products exist in life that were designed and meant to do something, but yet they had a collectible value to it. So therefore, it leads to multiple bottles, multiple this, multiple that, which we're going to get into that in just a minute.
Yes.
Is that fair?
Oh, very, very fair.
So, hey, I heard at one point that people collected stamps.
Yeah, I think they still do, probably.
I thought they used those to mail things.
They do.
They do?
How about cars? How many cars can you drive?
Wait a minute, I can only drive one at one time?
I know.
I can drink more than one bottle at one time.
Yes, you can.
I can only drive one
I
car.
don't-
So you tell me that people have car collections?
Yeah, I just a few people.
But are these cars of any value?
Yeah, some.
Okay.
Well, and guess what? The value is all dependent upon what the market is.
And what somebody else is willing to pay, right?
Exactly.
Okay, so who am I to tell you that you worked hard for your money, that you have to do this with whatever it is that you purchased?
It's not you. Yeah.
If you buy that car, I have to tell you you have to drive it?
No.
But if you buy that golf club, let's just say, for instance, a Scotty Cameron putter, you have to putt with it?
No, not if you don't want to.
But it's still worth something.
It is.
And you like to show it off to people that you might have more than one.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
So I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, to me, what it seems like is, maybe our thoughts have changed a little bit on it because mine has. I was right in lockstep with you, where if I have a bottle, I had a feeling that eventually, I don't know the time frame, but that bottle was going to be empty at one point.
And I'm glad you said that because I have 4 bottles sitting right here that you were involved and I was involved and everybody that knows me was involved in at one point or another. And everybody's thinking, what are these 4 bottles here for? And if you know me, I always said that every bottle's in danger of being opened.
Yep.
And it really is.
But I think maybe if things changed a little bit.
I don't know that they've changed, but I've thought about some things. And this bottle right here in the back that most people would never see is a 2009 Woodford Reserve. The very first bottle that was ever gifted to me from my dad from his first trip to Kentucky at Woodford Reserve. This bottle is worth probably $20.
Yeah.
But to me,
to you,
it's collectible and memorable and something that I either
Sentimental.
A, want to open with my dad, or B, pass it down because it's got my name on it, and then my daughter will have something collectible to our family.
Right.
Not collectible to anybody else.
No.
Now, these other bottles, which we'll move this one aside too, are a little bit different.
Yeah, I'd say they're a little different because these to me are collectibles.
These to me are the true collectible bottles, and never do I really ever put my bottles out there for viewing on the internet or anything like that.
Right.
But in this case, so big deal. I have 3 bottles. Worst case scenario, they get opened and consumed. Best case scenario,
they get opened.
They get opened and consumed. But if I was to pick 3 bottles that I would call my collection personally, so I'm a big fan of the number 21. That was my number growing up in sports and college, so on and so forth. Had to have a Heaven Hill 21. Everybody knows I like Heaven Hill.
Oh yeah, love Heaven Hill products.
Before we go any further, cheers to you guys.
Speak.
Cheers.
We definitely need to get some bourbon.
Yeah, need some bourbon.
Hit that like and subscribe button too.
I don't know what that control is, but it is mighty good.
Yeah.
Now, did I mention I've got
Can't go wrong.
the Buffalo Trace
Nope, this is the first time I'm doing it for this video.
What socks do I have on?
You have some Buffalo Trace.
All right, so I've got Buffalo Trace on in this one. That's just the clothes I chose.
The one
to
thing
wear.
I had to say, the green on the socks and the shirt matched very well.
it
They
does
did a
match
good
very
job.
well,
They did a very good job with that.
Okay, back to what I was talking about. Sorry, we needed to have some bourbon, which I hope you guys are having something too. So what's in your glass, and cheers, and thanks for joining in.
So can we open that 21? No.
I don't know if we're ready to open that one yet. No. So this is the Old Heaven Hill. This is a, to my understanding, which if you guys know more, by all means, put it in the comments. You know, like and subscribe, like Charles says.
Yes, indeed.
Japanese market release.
Yes, it is.
Especially according to the characters on the back of the bottle.
Since we cannot read it.
Yeah. And so that's where this one comes from. So I was able to acquire this just as others are able to acquire other things.
Yes.
Now, let me pause and say, Charles, do you like guns?
I do. I do.
I like guns.
I have a collection.
Do you have a collection of
I do.
guns? No kidding.
Yeah.
You can only shoot one gun at a time.
Yeah, that's true. I can shoot in multiple occasions more than one.
Maybe two if you're like in the Old West.
Yeah,
you're
but no.
Gunslinging.
Yeah, no. I'm not
But
that
safely,
good. Safely.
one
Yes.
at a time.
One at a
So
time.
let me ask you this. Why do you not have all your guns shooting it all the time instead of just sitting there doing their thing real safe like, not moving, but obtaining a value or not a value depending on what you have?
Exactly. You know what? It's what, to me, what it all boils down to is personal preference. It's what it comes down to. It's what do you want to do with your money? And I don't mind. I have a small collection of guns. I have a small collection of bourbon. Maybe I'm a collector.
It could be.
Yeah.
But I have a small collection of guns that I was handed down as well.
Right.
And I can accredit that individual to having my first gun, but I went and shot it immediately because I was really excited.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So I wanted to at least be able to use said weapon.
Yeah. Well, and then also I think with these being consumables, they also can go bad on you if
you don't store them correctly.
If you don't store them correctly
But
and everything.
unlike that first gun that I got, I have my first bottle of bourbon.
Right.
That was gifted to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that had a little bit of sentimental value.
Yeah.
And that first gun
Has
had
a
a
lot.
sentimental value too. I'll never get rid of it ever, but I wanted to shoot it. Why don't I want to drink that one? Nobody said I didn't want to drink it. It's just when I'm going to drink it.
Exactly.
And the other thing is I got another gun from that same individual in a different box. It's never been fired.
And probably never will.
It never will be.
Yep, because it wasn't fired beforehand.
Right. And so this is new in the box from 1979 or 1980, and it will never be touched because I had the other one that I did shoot. So I've got another bottle of bourbon right here.
So then, yep. Go ahead. Sorry.
This is
Uncut,
the
unfiltered.
17. Yeah, uncut, unfiltered. This is why this video is very controversial.
Yeah, it is.
It's controversial for collectors and drinkers alike, you know.
Well, and then I have a good analogy to this. So when you
Well,
finish,
go ahead.
What I was going to say is, okay, never been fired, never been shot, new in the box. That reminds me of toys. Toys never been opened, new in the box. What are they? They're worth a lot more than ones that have been opened. Same thing about baseball cards.
Oh man,
in packs.
Beanie Babies.
Yes.
I saw on Facebook.
Exactly.
There are some that are worth thousands.
And so what to me it also equates to is you can get more money for an unopened bottle than you would be able to for an open bottle. Same thing with a package or anything of that nature.
Yeah, same thing with a gun.
So then, is it
gun
collecting
worth
or is it just storing to be able to get better money or
Right.
investment? Or is it an investment?
Or
And
is it investing?
Yes.
Depending on how you look at it.
Yeah.
In the beginning days of the secondary market, which that's a different video that we've still never done, we probably won't.
Right.
That was an investment tool for some people that I
Correct.
didn't know, which is very interesting. Some of the people that are doing the secondary market, not to say that we condone it or not condone it, we are completely neutral on that. We just know that it exists.
We knew it exists and we know how it works.
Yeah, we know how it works. We know it exists. The people that were on some social media sites were able to make more money that year on their whiskey than they did on their stocks.
Yeah.
Had a person recently send me a graph chart of old age Japanese whiskey's value doing better than the market.
I'll bet.
And that was just Japanese
Yeah.
whiskey. That
Yeah.
wasn't what we're doing here as far as bourbon goes. Now, for this bottle right here in the middle, this is the 1792 Ridgewood Reserve, 2002 to 2004. This one, I believe, is a 2004 B4. So this is a 2004. This is the last year of the lawsuit bottle for 1792 and Ridgewood, which lost to Woodford
Right.
and had to cease, destroy, and this is a leftover that was probably on a shelf somewhere. I was purchased. I was able to acquire this bottle because this one is impactful and meaningful into the bourbon world for history as far as The first bottles that were created before the lawsuit took over became 1792 Ridgemont.
Right.
Then in 2015, that Ridgemont changed to 1792 Small Batch.
Yep.
And so the burlap sack up here is what everybody calls it. It's got the tag, the wooden cork with the gold on it. The earlier years, if I remember, 02, 03 didn't have that, so that designates 04. The B4 back here tells you that.
Yep.
It's got the front age statement on it, and you're probably thinking, it looks like 1792. This looks like Heaven Hill 21. You're right.
It is.
But if you know what it is, then you know which putter is worth more. You know which 357, let's see, 586.
Oh, okay, yeah, so you're saying. Yep.
No dash or dash one. I've got a 629-1 and I know somebody's got a no dash and a dash 2 and they got pinned and recessed. Those are gun terms.
Oh yeah.
You know what those are worth versus the standard ones today. Stainless is 6, nickel is 5. I've got a 586. It's got the full lug. It's pinned and recessed. It's a no dash and it's in exactly 1980. I happen to know that just because I have some guns.
Yep.
Well, I know a good bit about this bottle. Bottles I don't know as much about are the source ones and things like that. So that goes to the next bottle that I consider in my collection. Is it gonna be open? I don't know.
Not anytime soon. Probably.
Not anytime soon. So I've always said my real collection is downstairs, and my collection is my really nice bottles that I opened over time and put upside on the wall and kept because it has all the memories. These have less memories, but it doesn't mean it's not a collection of some sort. It's just a matter of when it goes to the wall.
Yep, and then you create the memories from that. But you also have the memories of how you got these.
Yeah.
And then what it does, just like your bottles downstairs, it might be a little different from, was able to buy it at this store or whatever else. These might have a little bit more, I traded for this and this and this or whatever else like that. And that's the other good thing that I think we do a lot is we get these bottles because we trade a lot.
Yeah.
But then if it does get open, then it's just even more memories with it.
Right. But I'm still not to the point where I think I'm ready anymore to say, is it wrong to have 10 guns that are of value to that person and of value to a market somewhere versus having 10 bottles that are of value to someone and of market somewhere.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's wrong for them to not open them. I originally I'd have been like, yeah, it's a consumable good. I don't understand.
I don't understand why you have 8 bottles of the same thing.
Right. That I'm okay with understanding unless you had 8 bottles of this.
Yeah.
But then I'd still be kind of like, well, why do you have 8 357s that are the exact same thing?
Right.
What is the plan here? That's an investment.
Yes, it is.
And so, back to the car collecting. If you bought 3 1969 ZL1s of the only 69 produced, you had to have known an insider's tip of some sort that you were going to not just drive them, you were going to drive one, sit on 2, and retire really nicely. Because there was only 69 of those made.
Because you got a daily driver that you're going to keep, and then you got the other 2 that are investments.
And correct me if I'm wrong, car lovers, if I said ZL1 and it's actually Copo cars. One of those is 69 of them produced, but I think it's the ZL1.
I mean, it's like if you had a 1962 split window coupe Corvette. I mean, that's probably one of the most desirable Corvettes as there are out there. The split window.
I think the split window is a 63.
Is it a 63? Okay,
Yeah,
I thought it was
63.
yeah. But that's the one I'm talking about right there. I mean.
We're not giving that guy a hard time if he's got it rotating in his garage and those really cool things.
Exactly.
We're just like, oh man, that's a really nice Corvette. I'd love to drive that. I wish I could.
Right.
Whereas he's like, I can't drive it. It's worth this amount.
Right.
Whereas some people, you see them zooming down the road and having a great time.
Yep.
Well, we're zooming down the road and having a great time when that one's open.
Yeah. But see, I think what it comes down to is, in my personal opinion, I think I was on the, at first, getting into the whole bourbon game and everything else like that, I didn't see it as a collectible. I didn't see it as that. But now, as my children are getting older and everything, I'm starting to think of special occasions to start. I get a bottle, I'm like, you know what, this would be good for this occasion. Or, like for us with videos, we start getting bottles for videos.
Right, exactly.
I mean, that's what it comes down to. We're not collecting them, but we are actually collecting them for videos.
Yeah. And so it's a collection, but it's at any given time, our collection's in danger of no longer being collected, it's consumed. Whereas I feel that if your gun collection is at any given time that, you know what, I've been saving this M1 Garand ever since my grandfather came back, I'm going to go out and shoot it and have a great time. Now, it's going to diminish in value because it's now been fired. Right. And my grandfather doesn't have an M1 Garand. But how fun would it be to do that?
I know.
So I look at it like this. if I wait for that right moment to open this vintage bourbon 17 year, which is probably from the KBD side of the history as far as where the stuff comes from, but there's some other possible where it could come from, then I'm like, well, right now, I don't have to open it. I have other bottles I can drink. It's still in great shape. It's still great clear juice.
Yeah.
Came from a great other person I traded for, or either had it for a long time because I got lucky in Kentucky, or it's worth something to somebody if I had to do something with it other than open it. But my plan with my collection, if you want to dictate this, or label it,
or you
a
can
collection,
do whatever, you get to do whatever you want to, because guess what? It's yours.
It's mine. But at the same time, I look at it like this: these were all meant to be opened at some point or another. That's what their intention was, is for somebody to enjoy it.
I think eventually all of them
I think eventually will. And I also think, as a car wish collector, I wish I could collect cars. I would want to drive all my cars.
And so one thing I like to say about this is, you sit there and you look at all these people that collect all these old Dusties. And speaking about old Dusties, do we have?
Old Dusties. I'm glad you mentioned
Do we have
that.
a couple of old Dusties down there?
Bring out some old Dusties.
Oh, yeah,
And let's take some of these down.
Yep, some virgin bourbon right there. What else do we have?
Oh, how about a little David Nicholson?
Yep. So
from
what
back in the day?
Well, I was gonna say, some old Dusties. If you ever go to a bourbon bar, especially in Kentucky, and you look at their bourbon selection, and you have all these from the 40s, the 50s, why do you think those are available? It wasn't because the people decided to get them, open them up, and drink them. It's because the people decided to get them, hold on to them.
So, and then eventually that went to someone else, which said, "All right,
what do I have? This is worth what?
This is worth what? And this is going to take this much per drink for me to open it.
Yep.
Because I got to either make up for what I bought to get it, or show the value of what that collectible bottle no longer exists. And similar to if that gun that I inherited, I decided to shoot, I'm going to have to come to understand that the value is still there, but it's going to be cut in half as soon as I go click, boom."
But there's only certain places you can go find those really old Dusties because of the laws and everything that are in the state laws and everything. But
which that's nothing to do with us.
Nothing to do with us. But it goes to the point of those people collected. They collected for a reason. I have no idea what that reason was, but they did. And eventually, most of it gets consumed. Maybe not by them, maybe not by their relatives or anything, but we, as consumers, get to enjoy it eventually.
Right, and which makes this topic very controversial. So do you go over to somebody's house that's got, I know people that have 100, I know people that have 200 bottles.
Yeah.
Do you go over to their house and give them a hard time because they've got 200 unopened bottles? Or do you just say,
"Wow,
that's a nice collection"?
Yeah.
I'm trying to compartmentalize why people have 50 to 100 guns, and it's, okay, you have a gun collection, that's really neat.
Right.
And it's acceptable, it's really cool. I've got 5 to 10 Scotty Cameron, again, putters that are worth X amount, that's really neat.
Yeah. Well,
I've got 17 cars, they're all from a certain year, a certain thing, a certain did this, that's really neat. But why can't it be really neat?
Right. Well, what I think is we've been wanting to do this because there's a lot of opinions, and what we want to hear in the comments, let us know your opinion. Are you for it, against it? What are your thoughts? What do you like to do with your collection, if you have a collection, or if you just buy one, drink one? I know a lot of people that go out there, buy a couple, that's the only thing they sit on until they're done with it.
Right.
And then they'll go buy a couple more. I mean, that's just how, it's a very, very personal subject.
It is, and it's controversial.
And
we know that,
yes.
So we want to know your thoughts. This is how we're trying to open up and trying to wrap your minds around this, students.
And what we really want to do is we want to get this conversation going within the comments, within our chat, get you guys actually letting us know. We want to see this one kind of blow up. We want to see it blow up on YouTube, blow up on Facebook. We really want to see the comments.
Yes, see the comments. Are we wrong? Are we right? We don't care.
Yeah.
This is just what we're trying to, okay, somebody came up to us and say, we need to have a collection conversation. Well, what are we talking about?
Right.
Then I came up with, you know what? There's gun collections, there's car collections, there's baseball collections, there's stamp collections. Why is it a bourbon collector gets shunned?
Yeah.
And then I was, this was eye-opening to me too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wait a minute. I didn't even think about it like that. This individual had a great aspect of the way they looked at it.
Yes.
And so, again, you work hard for your money. Everybody works hard for the money. Spend it how you want to.
Yep. And who are we, or who is anybody else
to say
to sit there and say how you're supposed to spend your money?
Now, do I agree that it's a consumable good? If I got 3 cans of green beans, I probably should open them before they go bad.
Yeah.
So I'm monitoring these because my plan is to open them and enjoy them.
You don't want them to spoil. You don't want the wax on them to pop off. You don't want to get them hot or where they basically blow the corks out.
Yeah.
And then you're done.
Yeah.
I mean,
and so I've got that scenario in some bottles, so I have to make sure that they're not ruined to make sure I drink them. So as a collector in the meantime, I'm a collector and consumer.
But then guess what? That's a good point to make out to all you other collectors out there that are wanting to consume them at one point or even collecting them for whatever reasons. You have to keep an eye on them. You have to store them correctly.
So I'm going to label myself as in the meantime, I collected to consume.
Yes. And I would say in my aspect of things, I would say I'm the very same way. But there are a few bottles that I have in my collection that will probably sit in my collection for quite a while because I just haven't picked the time that is best for me to consume it.
And I agree with you wholeheartedly 100%, and I'm glad you said that. Each bottle that I decide to consume, if I know it is of more value than the other, will be a planned, thought, Tennessee beats Alabama situation.
Right. Yep.
Which I've gone live on that.
And that was
a
awesome.
Great time.
That was awesome.
And then if that happens, then I want to have a monumental celebration of a really good bourbon.
Yep.
And when the daughter turns 21, you better believe I've got a bottle that I've been holding on to since she was born.
And I've got a couple for my kids when they'll turn 21 2 years apart. I've got 2 bottles that I've got picked out for them.
And I see nothing wrong with a person that's a gun collector for when their kid goes out and turns 21
or 18 or
takes them to the range and says, let's shoot this old school gun and have a great time. I also see nothing wrong with the car collector that says, you know what, I've never done a burnout in this 19 blah 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 muscle car. For your birthday, I'm going to let you do your first burnout.
Yep.
That would be really cool. Not to say that's what people do, but that's kind of how I look at it as I'm a collector until it is consumed. If you are a collector until infinity, let us know.
Yeah.
Why is it that you refuse, and why did you pick this specific
this
item to collect?
Why bourbon? Or bourbon or whiskey? I mean, you never know.
Yeah.
Could be
Scotch.
Could be Scotch.
I mean, if I remember correctly, a couple years ago, the world record was set for the most expensive whiskey on the planet for a 19... This is in the 20s. It's a 61... I think it's a 61 Macallan, and it went for like $1.1 million. 19... something like that. So I'm a little bit rusty on that. But it had previously, in a book from 1996, copyrighted 98, depending on how you look at it, had set the record then, but it was only like 30-something thousand.
Right.
So that person held on to it for another 30, 40 years, and it goes for 1.1 million. So I get it. That it's not just bourbon. It's certain
everything.
items. Yeah.
It's everything. And what we like also is Old Dusty's. If you look at this Old Dusty, you can actually see that it has been consumed some.
Yeah.
And so you guys need to stay tuned because I think, what are the plans, you think?
I believe this is when we segue to one of our upcoming videos. So time out for the meantime. We can always come back to the collection and the controversial of bourbon collecting versus consuming. So look forward. What we're going to do is we're going to do an Old Dusty video.
We are.
So we're going to bring out some Old Dusties. We've already opened this one. We're going to open this one. We might have some others that we haven't shown. And then we're going to discuss and talk about Old Dusties. And if you're not familiar with what an Old Dusty is...
Well, I mean, this one, honestly, Heaven Hill, pre-fire. That's an Old Dusty. What we're looking at is anything that you can't find nowadays.
Not produced any longer.
Exactly.
May have been on a shelf for X amount of time. Maybe out of a Japan market. Maybe out of a European market. Maybe out of some other market that we were able to find and acquire.
Right.
This is DSPKY16. Look up what DSPKY16 is.
Yep.
This has a little bit of a controversy to it, but we picked this one up specifically because of the lineage to David Nicholson.
Exactly.
And what it stands for as far as the bourbon world. So that is definitely a Dusty from a foreign market.
This one, still available, just not this anymore because this is pre-fire.
Right.
And it is, if you look at it, it is a 15 year. I mean, yeah, no.
So we've done a video on that one before.
Yes, we have.
But we're going to join on to some other ones and do an Old Dusty bourbon video. So that's where we're going to segue into there.
Yeah. Stay tuned for that video. Like and subscribe, guys.
Let us know about the controversial collection video that we just did. Stay tuned for the Old Dusties. And also, cheers to you guys and thank you.
Cheers. Justin, cheers.
Cheers.